This video will explore one form of resistance training that is highly popular within the community, which is the circuit weight training. The original term circuit training was created by Morgan and Adamson back in 1953 at the University of Leeds in the UK. They were concerned at the fitness level of students and sought to devise a well-rounded program of exercises which require minimum equipment, could cope with large numbers of students, could be completed in breaks between lectures or the lunch hour, was low cost, low maintenance, and generated sufficient benefits. Circuit weight training is an adaptation of circuit training and refers to a series of weight training exercises done for a fixed amount of time or repetition, each using a moderate weight between 40 to 60% of one repetition maximum. One moves from station to station with only a short rest of about 15 to 60 seconds between stations. It is thought that the continuous nature of this type of program can develop muscular strength and cardiovascular endurance, as well as decrease body fat while maintaining or increasing lean body mass. Circuit weight training is promoted as having multidimensional benefits due to the continuous nature of training. In today's environment, circuit weight training is popular within the community, probably because of the dynamic nature of the activities, but also of the promise of these all-rounded benefits. In a time where most people are time poor, they are looking for one mode or a couple of modes of exercise that can deliver a rafter of fitness responses. But can circuit weight training really be the answer? Can it really deliver all of muscular strength, muscular endurance, and cardiovascular endurance all at the same time? A study conducted by Collins back in 1991 questioned the aerobic benefits of circuit weight training. They examined heart rate and oxygen uptake during circuit weight training performed at 4 different intensities, either 40%, 50%, 60%, or 70% of one repetition max in each of the exercises included in the circuit. 15 male subjects performed 4 rounds of about 12-minute circuit weight training consistent of 3 circuits using 4 different exercises. They are the bench press, bent over row, arm curl or bicep curls, and parallel squat. Each of these exercises were performed for 10 repetitions over 30 seconds period with 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. While the heart rate response during the exercise routine seems appropriate for stimulating cardiovascular adaptation, the rate of oxygen consumption, which is an indication of aerobic demand, is rather low. As you can see, graph on the side, even at the highest intensity of 7% of one repetition max, 82% of heart rate max was achieved, which would be indication that would give you an indication that the subject is working fairly hard aerobically. But when you look at the VO2 max curve on the left-hand side, it's only showing that subjects are exercising at 40% of their VO2 max. So this is rather a low level of consumption when compared to normal aerobic activities. So the 2 major findings of this study are: firstly, heart rate is not a good indication of metabolic intensity or aerobic demand in resistant training. And secondly, energy cost of circuit weight training is relatively low when compared to other aerobic exercises. Wilmore estimated that energy cost of circuit weight training was found to be equivalent to that of a slow jog. What about training for muscular strength and muscular endurance simultaneously? Well, the graphs that you see on the slide here would indicate that that's pretty much impossible. If you really want to attain a high level of strength and power, what you will need to be doing is training at pretty much near maximum intensity. So we're looking at anywhere between 80 to 100% of one repetition max, and using fairly low repetition per training set. So we're talking about 1 to 5, maybe 10 at the most in terms of repetition. If you want to attain muscular endurance, on the other hand, or local muscular endurance, we need to be looking at anything from 15 to 20, even as high as 30 to 40 repetitions. If you're lifting that much repetition, then intensity just cannot be as high. So we're looking really at about 40 to 70% of 1 RM at the most. So the fact that circuit weight training claims to train several motor fitness at the same time might be dubious. It does violate one of the fundamental training principles. Can you tell which one? So from an application perspective, circuit weight training actually might be effective in untrained or recreationally trained individuals in terms of delivering all level of outcomes. Remember that if you're starting from a very basic level or unconditioned level, any form of training will generally deliver all-round benefits, because you are really going from not doing anything to actually start doing something. So as you start training, both your muscular systems will be challenged, so you might actually see strength and muscular endurance increase, but at the same time your aerobic system also is being challenged, albeit at a fairly low level. But that will still be enough to elicit some level of adaptation. But if you are already carrying some level of fitness, that amount of exertion or intensity might not be sufficient to induce adaptation. So if you really want to be good at a particular component of physical fitness, then you really need to dedicate specific training for that component of fitness. From a strength perspective, circuit weight training is probably not ideal for specific strength or power gains, and this is because the intensity used in circuit weight training is generally not overly high. Most circuit will be performed at a fairly high repetition, so you have to sustain your effort for anything from 40 seconds to about a minute. So this high repetitive or high level of repetition required to maintain the workload means that the intensity used will be quite low. The only thing, one of the great things about circuit weight training is because you exercise in group, and generally might be some loud music that accompany the exercise session, might actually enhance motivation for those who are generally not motivated to exercise. These classes may be perceived as being quite fun and challenging, so people are likely to come back and engage in the activities regularly, and the group dynamics within the exercise session could actually mean that individual may actually work harder than they would normally if they were to exercise on their own. While it might seem that circuit weight trainings are not overly effective in terms of delivering fitness objectives, note that if you are after an all-round fitness type program, it still could be highly ideal. And sports that requires strength and endurance, or strength endurance, like swimming, rowing, where this pure strength is not the dominant motor ability, these sport or athletes can still benefit from circuit weight training. Interestingly, muscular endurance, if it's a key component of that particular sport, this type of training might actually be quite ideal. That concludes this video presentation. Thank you for listening.